Okay.
Okay. So I wanted to also go through some of the Instagram comments because we put up a couple shorts.
We put up a couple of shorts.
Yeah, like Bree and them released.
Oh, from the
Yeah. Do you want to pull
thing.
them up? Which...
I already done the last one. I was,
Yo, what up, y'all?
Oh, we're already live.
I'm so sorry. I should have told you that.
You should have told me that.
All right, so we want to recap episode 232, talk about it a little bit. I'm glad you guys could join us. Why'd you move back like that? My breath stink?
Hello. You asked, I answered. You want me to lie to you? I'm sure mine isn't great either. I could go get us some mints. You want a mint? I'm going to go get
Do you have mints?
I do. I have a mint. Oh, and then he just blowing his breath. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. If only... Oh, look at that. People can see. Or they can't see it.
What?
The book.
Oh. Okay. So, yeah, we wanted to talk about episode 232. There was a lot of strong feelings about the young lady who was being done wrong by her husband, okay? What was it? He was addicted to pornography.
Well, I mean, let's start from the beginning. They lost, within their first year of marriage, they lost a child.
Yeah.
So there's that. I need one too. And then, yeah. And then it just went all downhill from there.
Right. So, but you said to start at the beginning and you quit. So they lost a child.
I feel a little far away.
Yeah, I know. They lost a child, and then
Let's just pull up the episode.
Was he working? Was he working?
He was working odd jobs and getting paid at different times. And then he was taking money from her and not telling her when he was getting paid.
He was stealing. Yeah, he was stealing. You can just start it from right there. We can look at it right there.
What do you mean?
No, we can listen to it again.
Oh, you want to just listen to it while we're on live?
Yeah.
It started at like...
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Okay.
Is loaded the question, then I think more so heavy. It's heavy. I am a long-time listener and first-time question asker. LOL. My husband and I have been married for 4 years, and we've been through a lot within those years. Within our first year, our child went to be with the Lord, which unearthed something in us, which in retrospect was a foreshadow of the upcoming years. During grieving, something was getting highlighted to me by the Lord, so I went to investigate. I found that my husband was on a dating site and had pictures of naked women. We're both believers, which is why it saddens me to even send this message. I'm reaching out for hope. I love him, but it's like I'm with a con man. When we were dating, he was dependable, reliable, and made me feel secure and heard. But now everything has changed. Before we got married, I laid out everything that was important to me. 1, a spiritual leader as God intended. 2, a clean home. 3, teamwork. 4, being transparent with each other, including financial things. 5,
and he's a thief.
He had a business when we started dating, but even now it's been stagnant. So the financial burden has been mostly on me. He has dug me into a financial hole with his inconsistent income that he doesn't tell me when he gets paid. He somehow got into my bank account and drained my accounts. When he is home, he walks through the mess he makes like it's invisible, leaving me to clean up not only his mess but our child's. I feel like his mom most of the time, teaching him the basics like clean up after yourself after cooking, don't leave the cabinets open, etc. We have a baby that he doesn't help out with most of the time. I'm exhausted. I might have been alone, then married him. Oh, I think she's saying I might as well have been alone than marry him. I'm basically a single mom with a marriage license. It feels like I'm raising both of them at the same time, and that was not what I signed up for. Is asking for him to clean up after himself too much? Is asking him to pay me back too much? The money that I earned going to a 9 to 5 every week while taking care of our child. Our marriage is struggling because of his porn addiction and being on, what is OF? Or is
OnlyFans.
Oh, being on OF and dating sites. He said he's been faithful. That's between him and the Lord. However, my trust for him has shattered. I've tried talking to him. I had to threaten to leave him for him to take me seriously.
Right.
We are searching for therapy for his porn addiction, which would be another financial burden on me, and marriage therapy. When should I say enough is enough? Should I walk away with my child and wash my hands? I don't believe in broken marriages. I'm trying to avoid this at all costs, but I feel like I'm in this on my own. I want to show my child that there is another way, that grace does cover a multitude of sins, that God still restores. Any advice will help. Thank you for your time.
So, I think because we do have a couple more episodes coming out that are very similar to this, I feel, right?
People asking whether they should stay in their relationship or not.
Yeah, but it seems like it's more the men are having this I can't get right issue, and the women are like, "Why? I didn't sign on for this."
Mm-hmm.
So, what can we say about the state of these relationships? Because I don't know. It's not about like, I feel like there's like a choosing type thing, like choose well. But at the same time, if these guys are saying they are one way and being one way before the marriage and then afterwards being something completely different, you know, like.
I know, because already when you get married, it unlocks a new layer of a person. So if it unlocks a deeper layer that says, oh, you're not who I thought you were,
Yeah, that's
even more to unpack, you know? Because you get to experience and see someone way differently than you saw them when you weren't living with them every day. But then this is different. We have a child.
Is someone knocking on the door? Is somebody knocking on the door? All right. So, what do you think? You smiled when you said that. So obviously I'm going to say, what did I do that exposed, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was it? Like, it's a layer.
No. You know, you just get to know a person. Who is it?
Who is it?
Me.
What's up?
I'm gonna go in the car.
Why?
Because I need to get my mouthwash.
Girl,
You don't need your
there's
mouth.
mouthwash right there on the counter. You just use a cup and squirt it in the cup.
Okay.
She is not even gonna like that flavor.
She just like new stuff. She likes the open packages.
Anaya went to the dentist yesterday and they gave her a bubblegum flavored mouthwash. She's gonna hate it.
Mm-hmm.
She must have left in the car. Anywho, oh, and another layer to this is she said he doesn't show any remorse. She sent a follow-up email.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just think that there are just things that I got to experience and see. Like there's a new level of intimacy when you are married, beyond physical. It's more like, oh, that's how you smell when you don't take a shower. Or that's what your morning breath is like. Or, oh, you're not as neat as I thought you were.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, oh.
Yeah, oh.
You can cook, but you leave the kitchen a mess. You know what I'm saying?
Or you can't cook. And you that one meal you made me, it never happened again.
Lies.
A little bit.
I can cook.
All right, also, okay. But I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm just saying that's something that's a layer that was unlocked for me. Just like bread.
Okay, good job.
Right, okay.
Good job.
So,
add the Lumiere.
Anyway, I do understand what you're saying.
I feel like you're so far away. Are you going to come in?
What? Oh, like in
No,
here?
just scoot in. Yeah, you're too comfortable.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people.
Can I see the comments over here on the live if I pull it up? Because I can't read that far.
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of people will experience this. Like, this is why, like, people who I've noticed that people who do long distance relationships and then they get married, like from long distance, it's like a huge. It's like, no, we communicate well. It's like, when it's only communication to do on the phone, that's one thing. But like, to communicate in person and bring up stuff in person in real time and then give people grace to grow, you know? I think that's a lot of people's problems is like there's not a lot of grace to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know what is happening in these relationships where these men are just like, I don't understand. And I'm not like, you need to do better. Like, I'm not pulling like one of those like alpha male, like kind of pastor shame type situations. But I'm just more curious and trying to understand what is the problem. I would love for more men to be able to communicate, hey, this is the issue I'm having. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of this stuff, and this is going to sound so stupid, but a lot of this stuff comes down to sexual frustration.
Let's think about it here in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if we have, unless he was looking to connect with her sexually after the loss of the baby and she was in her own grief and couldn't bring herself to do that.
I'm not saying I don't know when it happened. I'm just saying there is a lot of this stuff for men that's literally like, yo, I don't know how to initiate sex with you. I don't know how to like have peace and security in this relationship. Like, and I'm not saying that he has an excuse, but I'm just talking about the state of manhood. Like the most consistent problem I see is a lack of intimacy. Right? Like, men are very basic. You know what I'm saying? So how can I don't understand how this works. I don't understand how this works. Because it's like, I promise you, we probably get so many emails. The majority of the emails is this exact same situation. It is.
What do y'all think?
It is this. It is this exact same situation. I can't, like, he lies to me. I'm fed up. He doesn't do anything.
You know, I like what Elgin, forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong.
Elgin
said. He said, I'm learning how to communicate my emotions now with my wife instead of just following it up. And I feel like that is real. Like, there's a communication layer to it. And even if you try to bring in the sexual frustration, that's still another element of communication.
Yes.
So I think that it could all come down to not just men in relationships, but women and men not being able to communicate in a way that is effective, or even, you know, we've talked about speaking the same language but a different dialect before. Yeah. And I feel like it's one of those things too, where it's like, I'm saying it in this way and you're saying it in this way, but we're not hearing each other. Did you need another one? Because I need another one.
I eat another because I can taste my breath. I don't like the way it tastes.
I
could have just took one and you could have minded your business.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that wasn't like a sign that you should get one of these. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, yeah.
Okay, so check this out, though. I want to say something, but I don't want to get into an argument.
Oh, Lord. What?
Okay, so sometimes I've told you before, right? Like, I have something to say to you, but you can't take it. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, I'm not soft. I can hear tough words. And I'm like, nah, you can't. I don't think you're ready to hear what I have to tell you. And you're like, I'm totally ready. And I'm like, okay, well, I think this. And you're like, are you saying that I'm this? And I go, I told you wasn't ready. So I think that is another layer to the communication too, because if I, like, it's already hard, like early on in our marriage. Okay.
What's the other layer? Defensiveness?
Maybe, or just being open to like receive, like receiving.
I was open to receive. I just didn't like what I received, right?
No.
Oh, what is it?
Well, I think when I say, hey, I want to tell you something, but I don't know if you're ready to hear what I have to say. Right? And if I'm telling you something, I'm just like, hey, listen to this, sit on that for a little bit, right? But immediately it's like, you know,
got it wrong.
You got it wrong. You screwed up. You're not right. Right? So I'm like, all right, well, if I'm going to be like accused of being a meanie, you know what I'm saying, while I'm trying to tell you something, like, you also have to be open to receive what I have to say. And I'm not saying this is just for women. This is also for men, because I have a tendency to be very sensitive to. Just the other day, you were telling me something. Babe, I want to tell you this in love. I cleaned the laundry room and you made it a mess, and I need you to bring it back to completion. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a certain level of like timidity that you had addressing me, because I may have been like, you know what I mean? But I don't know.
It was one of those things where, you know how, have you seen that one? There's a reel going around or a TikTok going around where it's like the husband sitting on the back of the couch and the wife comes by and she's like, hey babe, can you not sit on the back of the couch because, and she explains why. And then she walks on, and then she comes back and she finds him again, and she says it a little bit more aggressively. And then she comes back and she says it again, and she says it a little bit more aggressively, but not quite there. And then she comes back the fourth time and she yells, and he hears her.
He's like, dang, why you yelling?
Yeah. He's like, dang, why you yelling? And she's like, that's the only time you hear me, because she's been trying to communicate it gently. So that was my first, like, hey, like, it feels like when I bring the laundry room back to equilibrium, it all goes crazy. It's like an invitation to make a mess. And I'd love for you to be able to just, you know, help restore order there. That was that was the first run versus me getting frustrated.
Right. Okay. So how can I communicate better to you? Did I say something confusing? How can I communicate better? How can I communicate better? Like, if I say, hey, I have something to tell you, I don't know if you're going to be able to receive it well. I'm in holding this in, I don't want to tell you. And then I tell you, and you're like, you know?
But when you do that and I respond, do I respond in a, like, belligerent way?
I mean, you don't really get belligerent. You're not belligerent. Okay. But if there was a word that was belligerent for you, I would say yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's just that your first thing is like, you might be like, I don't do that, right? And then you'll think about it, and then, okay, so like, all right, so this is not true, right? But Anaya has been like, so Anaya goes, yeah, girls can hit guys, but guys can't hit girls, right? Yeah, I'll find another example.
Thank you, Harris Ford. That's what I was trying to get to. But go ahead. You can use this example. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll come back to what Harris Ford said.
So Yvette doesn't hit me, right? Sorry, guys. We ghetto rig today. All right. So Yvette doesn't hit me, right? But we play, so she'll like ball her fist up or be like that or something like that. And I do a lot of jokes. So Anaya thinks that girls can hit boys, but boys can't hit girls. And so she was like, I was like, where did you learn that? And then she goes, Mom. like that. And so Yvette goes, I don't hit your dad. What are you talking about? And Uriah goes, yes, you do. And then Theo goes, yeah, you do, right? And I was just sitting there, and I was like smiling. So then Yvette goes, I don't hit you, right? But recently, I've been saying stuff, and she's just been like, I understand why they say that now.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but I do be like, ugh, or ugh,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
whatever, playfully or like facetiously,
Uh-huh.
not like abuse.
Yeah.
You know, it's not abuse. But I've been catching myself because I'm like, oh, like maybe the kids don't know the difference, which is really sad.
Yeah. That's actually a good thing.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing. But I also realize, oh, I am violent, because there are moments when he's doing something and I'm like, I just want to punch you right now, but I'm not going to because my kids.
But you never punch me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to go, Arr.
Yeah.
And I stop myself because the kids are like, they're seeing this, they're creating this narrative in their mind, and I'm like, that's not the narrative I'm trying to portray.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other layer of communication too. But what I wanted to get back to, what the Harris 4 said, she was like, when you present whatever you have to present to me, don't make the assumption that I'm not going to receive it well. And then even still, if you do have that assumption in your mind, just receive what I received.
Okay, so just take it. So just take the fact that...
Because the thing about it is, whenever you present something to me, I don't feel like I am, like, I still receive it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you receive it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, uh-huh.
And even if I don't get it right in the moment, I will reflect on it and be like, okay, you were right.
Yeah.
So is it not worth it to you to even bring it up for that initial, like...
No, it's not.
I feel like there's some men out there. There's not a lot of men in this chat. But do you align with what he is saying?
Somebody gonna say, I don't think you're violent. How you know? You know nothing.
Because you just said...
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So I think that I don't want to just, because I want to preface it. Because if I say what I'm thinking, because okay, so here's something that's so interesting. And we're not going to be on this long, right? This is just short.
Somebody asked me to repeat the question. So what was I saying?
Aren't there some men out there? You just literally said, aren't there some men out there, men?
No, because what I was trying to say is, because you assume what the response is going to be, then does that prevent you from saying whatever you need to say anyway?
Yes, because here's the problem with me, right? The problem is I talk harsh. Mm-hmm. I'm a harsh talker. So I'll tell you the truth, and it lacks the love and care that needs to deliver the message. So I'm trying to practice how I deliver it.
And somebody said that, delivery.
Yeah, I'm trying to practice how I deliver it. And I preface it by saying, I don't want to come off mean, and this might bother you when I say this. So, but I don't know how else to say it.
So when you say that to me, I just brace myself for impact. In my own thing, I'm like, okay, try not to have a physical reaction.
And then I say, she's like, oh!
No. I'm like, keep a straight face. Keep a straight face. Don't let him get to you. Don't let him get to you. Don't let him see that it ticked you off.
Uh-huh.
And just hear him.
Uh-huh.
And then, I just need a moment. I don't know.
Okay, but I'm saying, I'm trying to get better at that, because somebody else told me, like, yo, you protect Yvette, but you need to handle her with more care. You need to care for her better. And I was just like, okay. I'm trying to practice that, because this actually started that conversation, right? So I want to know if men need to communicate better, do they also need a better person, like a better receiver? Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Well, you don't.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think that all of us, I don't think it's just a man, like, I don't think it's just a woman's issue of how she receives it. I think there are definitely essential parts of communication. It's the delivery, it's the way it's received. It's like, are you listening to actually hear what the person's saying, or are you listening to argue? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is a heart posture, like, am I going to be defensive, or am I going to be open to what this person is saying and try to get to the root of where it's coming from? So yeah, no, I don't know. What was your question though?
Just now?
Yeah.
If men need to communicate better, like, do they need a better receiver? Like, can you be a better, like,
we
receiver?
can practice receiving things better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because then, if I know that whenever I'm like, okay, so I have a relationship, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. If I tell this person, hey, I feel like this. Well, I don't think that's true. Like, their response is always defense, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, you're delusional. Like, I can't. Wait a minute.
No, I'm not saying that person is a different story, but I'm not saying everyone.
But that's so that experience, that what I just said right there.
That exchange.
You took that personal.
I didn't take it personal. I know I'm not delusional.
I know, but I said, okay, this person is delusional. You were like, well, wait a minute. Are you saying I
thought you were trying to draw a parallel for all men communicating with women.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm saying that me and this person, if I tell them, hey, you've done this in the past, and they lie about it, or whatever, this person is delusional, I no longer can live in this space, right? Now, if that is a relationship that I've had for a long time, and then I see symptoms in other relationships similar to that, then I just prepare and just be like, well, you know what's better than all that?
Got it.
Keeping it to myself.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not your fault.
Yeah.
Right?
And I don't think that's every man's story either.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you are a unique situation in which that comes from. But I don't think that's every man's story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we all carry our own baggage that impacts how we communicate and how we receive, hopefully, constructive feedback from the people we're in a relationship with.
Yeah. For me, I think that most of this stuff can be handled with just communication. And if you can't communicate, you need a referee to help you communicate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think what somebody said about active listening, I remember when Brene Brown, was it on her Netflix special? And she was talking about this, like, someone was saying something to her, and she would go back and she'd be like, the story I'm telling myself is, or what I'm hearing you say is, you know? And I feel like that is important too, because I feel like that has been helpful with us. When you communicate to me and I'm like, this is what I'm taking from what you've just said, is this what you're intending to say? That type of communication is very helpful.
Yeah.
Because then you can be like, that is not what I was saying at all. Or, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, too, what you're saying and how the person's receiving it or what they're interpreting it as is completely two different things.
Yes. And so, yeah, I don't know, you know, these questions that these people have brought up in this latest episode 232. If you haven't watched it, make sure you guys go back and watch it. I feel like the first question when the lady was debating on leaving, exhausting all options looks like healthy confrontation. And I just posted a video today.
Can you say that one more time, please?
Yeah, I said exhausting all options for that lady, the first lady was talking about her husband, looks like healthy confrontation. Okay? And I noticed that, because I put out a video today yesterday, talking about how my children had a problem with an individual that, like, one of the kids that they were hanging around with, and we and the mom and dad are really close. So we're hanging out with these people, they're hanging out with us, but one of the kids is just out of order. You know what I'm saying? He was doing some things that we didn't approve of, and the kids were like, you know, they were like, hey, can we come down to play with you guys? And the kids were like, nah, I don't want to play with him. And I was like, okay, cool. You don't have to play with him, but if your feelings are that strong, he needs to know why, because he's still at an age where this behavior can be corrected. And if we're all holding him accountable, he's not gonna be able to get away with that so easily, right? So I kind of forced this accountability, so to speak, and I realized that I was teaching my children better than I learned myself. Because what I like to do, I like to my only rule for confrontation is I can't tell you the truth if you don't if you don't have a safe place to land. Like if you don't have somebody else in your life who's gonna be able to confirm what I'm saying or talk you out of your delusion, I can't tell you the truth. So, and because I can't tell the truth, I won't tell you anything. You know what I'm saying? I'll move away. And so what I was trying to communicate to the kids is that, look, you feel this way about this person, but they don't know it. And we need to let him know how you feel. And at the end of the day, I got a lesson because I realized I still behave in the way I was trying to teach my kids not to behave. Both of my sons got a lesson. Their son got a lesson. Yvette got a lesson because he was like, I would have just avoided that.
I would have been like, oh, you can't come over no more.
All right, yeah, well, he can't come over. And then the dad who sat down and had the conversation with us, learned something too. But the most important thing is one, if it takes a village, we're going to be honest about this and confrontational in a healthy way. But two, I don't want to teach my children to be good at lying. Because if they don't tell people the truth about themselves, they're going to make up excuses on why they didn't have to hang around them. So Yvette and I got good at that. We got real good at being like,
we did.
We got something
you know
to do.
What?
We got something to do.
We are not available.
We aren't available. Are you available? George, Yvette goes, we got invited to this. And then she goes, you want to go? And I go, do you want to go? Like very stern. Do you want to go to that? Do you want your body to be in that space around those people for that long? They not going to feed you. Like, let's talk about what's happening here. It's a Saturday. You want to go do that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then we go, no, Glenn's busy. And even though it may be true, that's not why we're not going. Yeah. We're not going because y'all be inviting us places and don't be feeding us.
Or we just ain't rocking with it.
You know, or like someone just said right there, I'll try to make it. And we ain't put no effort into that try. We only got our socks on. We still in our pajamas. Yeah, what time it start? He is not going.
Oh my god.
We got real good at that.
We did. But I also think that sorry, I was stuttering. I think that it was such a healthy way to teach our children against people pleasing too. Because I feel like for me, I would have been like, can he just come over and we limit the time that he's over here, or let's okay, we'll limit it to this area of the house, or whatever. And Glenn taught me something, and that is we should protect our kids in that way, not forcing them to hang around people. And in general, I do that. But I was like, oh, this kid isn't that bad, whatever. Yeah, yes. And I selfishly, I'm like, I love his parents. Those are my friends.
Yes.
But I love how Glenn was healthy communication, taught the boys healthy communication. First of all, there's a few things there, because they have to be able to stand up for the people that they're in community with when this child is in community with them. Yeah. Right? They also have to, they can call the action or the misbehavior out in the moment, in real time. But also, it's we can't avoid people. We have to be this is what you are like when you're around, and I don't enjoy that. So it's a matter of protecting their peace when they're, in their own home. They shouldn't have to protect their peace in their own home without, with this child around. I don't know. It was a really good lesson for me, but I really appreciate the lesson that my boys got, because one of them in particular is a people pleaser. The other one is just like their father. In that way. Yeah. I want you guys to ask questions in the comment section. I seen someone ask questions about the mix we used. Let's just get some questions going while I tell this story real quick. So, man, we had such a good
conversation, and I don't want to always feel like I'm punching down on you, but there was a lesson that we learned recently, right? And we talked about this.
When he starts like this, I just smile. Even when he goes, I have something really hard to tell you. Just like, I just go, it's how I fix my face. Just in case you guys wanted to.
No. So, no, this was a good lesson, though.
No, okay.
Because the same situation, right, probably lasted, because we were trying to be non-confrontational, it probably lasted like 6 years, right? So we had somebody come over our house, and they made Yvette feel like crap at our house. Like, came to our house and just really was just being negative, right? And I was like, I'm gonna say something. And Yvette was like, nah, don't say anything. I'll do it, right? And I was like, you gonna do it? And she was like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. When? Right? And she goes, I'll just figure it out. Did you ever... I have a question, man. Did you ever intend to have that conversation or no?
You know, it didn't feel necessary because they didn't even live in the same state. It was just like a happenstance, you know? They were here for a little bit. I had to endure it. Glenn, I think he went on tour or something. He had a show and he left me alone with this person. And I was like, and then I was
she
like... She
called me while I was going to say, I've never felt this
gosh.
bad about myself in my life.
I felt like this small, y'all. It was, I was like...
In her own home.
In my own house. Yeah. But I can be non-confrontational. And so I'm most often non-confrontational. I feel like I have to say that because you're right here. And so I was like, she gone.
Yeah.
So I don't need to deal with it.
And then what happened was, I was like, all right, so when are we going to have this conversation? So the problem was, such and such was like, I want to come back. I'm going to come in town this summer. I'm going to come. And I'm like, we ain't had that conversation yet. And it was like 3 summers later. And I was like, we need to have this conversation. Yvette, are you going to have this conversation? And she was like, what conversation? Right? And for me, it's like, man, if I don't want to be crazy because I have a tendency to like lose my mind, right? Like, not like violently, but like I'll start to like pace back and forth and curse under my breath and like curse in the shower, or I'll write a song about it. I start to get a little like, just you could look at me and say he's unwell, right? This dude is not doing good, right? So I wanted to make sure that this didn't happen again. So I was like, well, look, you're not gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna have a conversation, and it blew up. Why would you wait so long to tell me this? And you are always trying to right? And threw it back in my face, right? And recently we had an opportunity to do this again, and I was just like, all right, well, if you don't do it, Yvette, you have lost. You're not the conversation person no more. Like, I'm not gonna ask you to have the conversation. I'm just gonna start doing it. You know what I mean? Because after 14 years of being married to you, there's certain things I know, right? And I'm like, I don't need you to, like, this isn't a test. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It felt like I had to prove myself for sure.
And then I told you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, are you telling me I have to prove myself? And
I was like, yeah, absolutely. You got to prove yourself, because at this point you gotta move out of the position so that I can do what I gotta do. You know. Mm-hmm. And overall, Yvette did. You know, she had the conversation, and even if she decided, hey, I don't want to do that no more, that's not good for my mental health, I would gladly take over that role, because unfortunately, everyone thinks I'm gonna spaz out and make people feel a certain way, right? Because that's what you're trying to do, is protect people from me, right? But they never really leave. They always come back. Right? I'll be like confrontational with someone, and they'll actually draw them in closer. You know what I'm saying? Which is not necessarily what I want at all. But yeah, anyway, so I think confrontation can solve a lot of our problems, and of course communication. I wonder how this couple is doing, if they are out there, if you're out there. A couple from episode 232. Make sure you tap in with us. Yeah. Okay. So someone asked about, I'm going to answer a couple questions, and I don't think we have a lot. Someone asked about the mix we have. This is the Rodecaster Pro 2. It is I think it's around $600 or something like that. We bought it maybe like 2 years ago. We use these Shure SM7B mics when we're doing our podcast. Right now, we're just on an iPhone. I'm not really good at live streaming. I'm trying to figure out how to use the YOLO box situation so we can live stream in a more professional way. But that's all we can do right now. Someone said, do you think the competition should be reserved for trusted and intimate relationships? Is it worth it to risk when they aren't that close to you? All right, so I'm a gun owner. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, for me, I'm more willing to be confrontational with someone if it's a relationship that I desire to have. You know what I mean? So some people, it's like, I don't want to be your friend anyway, so I won't be confrontational. And then there are some people that, like in the past, there have been people that I wanted to be confrontational with, and said husband didn't let me.
Excuse me?
Come on now.
Who is it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But you were gonna mess up the bag. You were trying to. You were crossing a business line. That's totally different.
I don't want to tell people.
Yeah.
That one I really wanted to be like, let's talk.
Yeah. We can't.
When I do want to talk.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. No.
When I do need to be, whatever. Anyways, Go ahead, answer the question.
Okay, so I feel like, there's certain people that's kind of like there's people I'm cool with and people I'm close with, right? I'm not gonna walk up to the dude at the gas station, and if he, says something to me, I'm like, hey man, I didn't really appreciate that, man. That's not how we're supposed to be as human beings. I'm not trying to correct everybody, right? And then some people I've corrected too much, and I've kind of been labeled as a pessimist or whatever. So I'm just like, all right, man, you've graduated out of my accountability. I can't do nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time, it's people who don't have really good home training. You know what I'm saying? I think that some relationships are the ones you want. I think you should fight for, right? So I had to give some people in my life another shot and say, hey, I know you really think you're doing a good job, but you're not, and I expect better from you. And those conversations have been with like parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not like, like now I'm holding you accountable to a standard I believe you can hit, right? And you have no excuse because I'm in your shoes now, right? But I am like I'm a gun owner, and if I go to someone's house and they don't have good firearm safety, that's a cause for concern to me, right? And if you violate that, like kind of common sense behavior, I won't put myself in a position to be in your house as you're acting unsafe. And that could be firearm, that could be drinking, that could be driving. Like if I see something, I'm just kind of like, all right, man, we can't do that, right? So anyway, that's kind of like how I abide with that. I'm not thinking about correcting everybody. Any more questions? I'm sorry.
This one says, how well do you both accept or deal with someone when someone is confrontational to you?
I think you do really well with it. I think you do well with it.
I don't know if I would say really well, but I feel like I do well. I just try to listen. And then the one thing I will say about like just this conversation in general is it's really hard when someone is a slower processor than the other person.
Yeah.
So like when Glenn and I are talking, like I feel like his wheels are going 100 miles per hour while I'm at 10, I'm like, wait, like let's slow down. Yeah. And so sometimes I have to remove myself from the conversation and then revisit it in a few hours or the next day or whatever the case may be. Like I need more time to be able to process, if that makes sense. So that also can be another barrier to communication when it comes to things like this. And then even there was a conversation that I will admit that I started last night, And Glenn had already had thoughts and feelings about it, but I was like, hey, what do you like? I was like, I think we should talk about this
on the podcast. I was like, let's turn on the mic right now.
Yeah, and I was like, but wait, I need to like. I just saw it was like a reel I saw, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting thought. And I was like, I think we should talk about this on the podcast. And then he already had thoughts immediately, and he wanted to record right away. And I was like, wait a minute.
I gotta make an outline.
I was like, I don't even know what I think about it because he just expressed his thoughts to me. And now I'm like, oh, now I'm really rethinking this. But I don't have new thoughts fresh out the bat. You know what I'm saying? So like, give me a second. So I think too, like even with, and I will say for the couple in the email on episode 232,
yeah,
there's a whole, there's like the other part to it too, where their first year of marriage, they lost a child. That's heavy. Like that's heavy in and of itself. And we as women, we do a really good job of creating community for ourselves and having a village and having places to go where we can process things. Like I'm not saying I'm not making a blanket statement. I want to take that back. I want to say most women do well at finding support or having somebody that they can go to. A lot of men do not. And so her husband could have turned inward instead of trying to lean on somebody with his own grief or with whatever other issues he's dealing with. I'm sure there was grief dealing with the loss of his child. And then he's probably like, man, I can't even like step up and provide for my family. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure that out. But he doesn't want to go confide in another man because he's probably I'm making complete assumptions here. But maybe he thinks, I don't want to look like a sucker in front of another man. You know what I mean? And so I feel like there is something to be said to that because there are times when Glenn will bring something up with me and then I will have somebody who I can trust and go process through it with them. Like, hey, Glenn just said this and this is how I'm feeling about it and this is what I think. Can you help me see what I don't see? You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like there was a comment on this video in particular where someone was like, hey, let's bring, like, I think another thing is like to call, she was speaking from her own experience and she was like, I had to tell people what was going on in my marriage. Like I had to tell a man he trusted in our church what he was up to and what he was doing. I told my parents.
Yvette does that too. She'll tell them.
And that helped hold him accountable. And so I feel like I understand what you're saying when you said Yvette told on me, but I don't want to think of it as tattletelling. But I do think sometimes we as women need to
tell. Dang!
I was trying to find a better way to say it.
You ain't like the word.
Oh my gosh.
You ain't like the word. Okay, somebody said, what advice? Oh, as far as me as well, I feel like I do okay with that as well. Especially in business. Like a lot of people are always like, you gotta do this, you gotta correcting me. But I'm a person that really loves, like, tell me what to do. Like, tell me exactly what to do. I like to listen. I like to listen to old people talk. I like to hear black men ramble. That's like my favorite thing ever. Like I just love to hear old men just get off the daggone porch. Like I like to hear that. I feel like there's something missing in society and something we don't get to see and hear as our black men grow old and talk trash. But someone said, what advice do you have would you give to a 27-year-old engaged son of a possessive mother? Man, you 27. You got a Heisman, man. You gotta put some separation, right? I would, Yvette didn't have a boyfriend before me, but she briefly dated someone who was like a daddy's boy.
He was an only child, so he was mama's boy and daddy's boy.
Right. And so that type of person really isn't fit to be a husband. You know what I mean? Like if your mother is possessive, then she doesn't necessarily know the boundaries, right? And you gotta honestly it's gonna be a tougher road when you start to be married because there's so much friction there, right? But there's also cultural things. Some people are from different cultures, and moms just be in their business and right there, living in the house, all that stuff. I don't really go for all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I also have childhood trauma issues, so, you know, I'm kind of like a I'm cleaving because I'm holding on for dear life. Any other questions? Let's see.
Well, I did want to address this comment.
Okay.
Oh, were you finished with your
I just
thought?
want to say something real quick. It's okay if you watch this on 2x speed. Any of our stuff, because I know we talk slow.
We do. We are very much. So
Sometimes we
aware of that.
were like editing our podcast and we're like, what is going on? Why are we talking so slow? Right? And then we put it on 2x speed to get through it. So we know what it is.
Someone said I wouldn't tell without asking my spouse if he is okay with me sharing. And I can't say that I've always done that, but what I do know is we have people that we know it's okay to share with this person. Now, has someone once shared without permission? Without agreeing on the person? Yes.
Me. That was me.
But I will say when you are married, it is a good idea to have designated people who is like, okay, this is a trusted confidant, this is a trusted confidant. I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's a known thing within your marriage.
Yeah, a safe individual.
Because I already know if I go to certain people, it's okay. If I go to certain people without asking Glenn, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. One time I was on a rampage and turned off my location and is about to get into some trouble. And Yvette told. Remember that?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember that? When I turned off my location and I was ready to seek revenge.
Who? Oh.
Remember that?
Yes. Wow.
And you called. Glenn turned off his location. I can't find him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Is How Married Are You merch still available? Not this run. Not right now. We love the How Married Are You designs. They just did not sell well. Y'all didn't buy them.
I mean, we do have a.
We do have them. We do have some.
them. Maybe we should add it.
I don't like those ones.
I know, but if people want it, then we should get rid of it.
Yeah.
We should send some to the patrons. If you're a Patreon and you're here and you've been a patron, thank you.
Yeah, just if you're a Patreon and you want me to shirt, let us know. Listen, that joint.
All right, I think we should call it quits because my head is hurting and I'm hungry.
Okay.
But I do love y'all.
Yep.
And we are trying to show up live on Thursdays. We don't have a designated time, so don't ask us what time you're going to show up on a Thursday. But we have new episodes coming out every Tuesday. And then we go live. We try to go live on Thursdays. So just know when we say every Tuesday and Thursday, you guys know us by now.
Yeah.
Y'all in the wedding party.
Yeah. So check this out too. I just want to say this last thing.
Okay.
We do have a new team editing our podcast now, and I think we are like almost around 6 weeks ahead. Mm-hmm. So you at least have us for the next 6 weeks consistently. So enjoy.
Well, I do want to say too that we are in the process of moving. Like we have to pack up this house and then move into another house. So that could mess up our consistency as well. So
the farm is over.
We're moving from the farm.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Peace, y'all.
And
that's just how married we are.
I don't know. You gotta cut it off there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Up here.